January 6th, here we are with it. The question is, what impact are we left with in January 6th as we go into it? You've done some wonderful stories on it. I've watched them. They're very well thought out. They're good stories. Give me your thought on what the big picture looks like going into January 6th. What's the American public, what's their reaction to all this with, if we believe that there was a coup that was going to take place, how does this affect anything?
It didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we saw that not only in this year's election, obviously, we saw it in the 2022 midterms when Republicans regained control of the House. The public, and at that point, it was not even 2 years past, the public said, we're over it, we're done.
Yeah.
We don't care. And it's because, like so many other things, the public has the attention span of a fruit fly, basically. They move on, they forget, other things happen. It's the same thing, and I always point this out, that we saw with the 2004 election with George W. Bush. Just a year before that, they're at the UN with their little vials saying, this was from Iraq, here's pictures of aluminum tubes, and everybody knew it was a lie. Everybody knew this was a war based on pure lies. People were dying. He was ignoring the real, terrorists out there. And then in 2004, they went and said, no, we're going to stay with Bush, because they forget about these important things that changed the course of American history.
Yeah. Just like the first story we did, I think there's an issue that I think of, and that is it's a high ground issue. Okay. Do the Dems really have a high ground on the January 6th, which they should? They should.
Yeah.
But do they have the high ground anymore? And my suggestion is they don't. And it's because of the conduct of this president. I mean, first of all, it comes down to the American public looks at events in fairness and in unfairness. I mean, it's a simple gut kind of reaction that they have certain things. So they say, okay, January 6th, we're still not sure. Most people would say, no, this wasn't a coup. It was just something that went awry, okay? And he's going to, I promise you, Trump is going to pardon these people.
Yeah.
So when he does, what does the American public think about that? And my take on it is, ordinarily, they might be outraged, but you have a president who has pardoned, just the other day, he pardons, I guess he pardons him. He takes 11 al-Qaeda terrorists that were, arguably tied up to bin Laden and sends them out.
Yeah.
He forgives the 9/11 terrorists that killed 3,000 people. He allows 30 people that he pardoned who were fraudsters. They were, all kinds of scams that they ran. They committed fraud. They were con men. They committed the most horrendous types of acts.
The Kids for Cash judge.
Kids for Cash that we
SOB.
did, that we've done a couple of times, where a judge is making a decision to put money in his pocket by sending kids to prison. Now, he forgave those two judges, okay? There was 30 of them just as bad. And then add to that he commutes the sentence of child rapists, murderers, mass murderers, and he makes the argument that, well, I did that because I don't believe in the death penalty, okay? That was basically, but he still, if you either believe in the death penalty or you don't. But here he says, well, these people, I'm going to commute their sentence, but if you believe that the death penalty is improper, why did you allow 3 cases to stand? You see what I'm saying? The whole argument was poorly thought out.
Yeah. And by the way, 2 of the people that were on death row that he commuted, they actually came out today and said, no, I want to die.
I saw that. But getting back to the point, I just wonder, does it make any difference? I mean, if he pardons these people, because he's going to. He's going to.
Well, here's the thing, and this kind of ties back to my previous point. Regardless of what Biden did and the outrage from that, if there is outrage, and I've seen it in the media, there is outrage. That outrage is already gone. So it'll be the same with January 6th. There will be stories for a week that he pardoned these people, and then everybody moves on. If even a week. I don't even give it that long.
You're a true believer in that, aren't you? You're a believer that people are not tuned in to events like that to where they carry them forward for very long. I've heard you say it a dozen
Yeah,
times.
and I think, based on all the time we've been doing this, the evidence is just overwhelming that people, you can't get them to care about something and hold on to that anger for a long enough period of time. And probably for the human psyche, it's probably not good to sit there and be angry about something for 2 years until the next election. So we'll hear about it when it happens. We'll hear about it if one of these people breaks the law again. And then I do think right before the 2026 midterms, the Democrats will try to make it an issue and the public will say, we're over it. Please don't talk about this.
I agree with you. I think it's such
We could map out exactly how this will play out.
Well, I think maybe that's why Biden doesn't mind saying, like, I'm going to forgive my son. Hey, your pardon. I might forgive Liz Cheney. Your pardon. Whatever. He doesn't. Maybe he's a true believer in that. The man's been in politics. All he's ever done is been a politician for 45 years.
Yeah.
Maybe he's seen it firsthand. I think you may be talking about the same thing that he's thinking. But I mean, anytime you have as many things as this senile, demented old man has done just in the last, 6 months, the American public is not going to say, Trump, you forgiving these January 6 folks is wrong. I think Dems have totally lost the high ground on that.
Unfortunately, I do think you're right. And I think the public, they will care about it for a couple days at most. And then they go right back to, I'm at the grocery store and I can't afford groceries. So there's always a new thing.
Yeah.